Welcome, everyone, to a brand new episode of La Vida Baseball Live. I'm Julie Alexandria, and here's a look at what is trending. The Mets-Phillies rivalry seems to be alive and well, maybe not up to the 2007 to 2011 standards, but things are certainly heating up in the NL East. This weekend series featured benches clearing action 2 times in 1 inning, and then on Sunday, the Mets take a big lead thanks to some heads-up base running by Villar, and then the Phillies seemingly tie it up in the bottom of the 9th in what they thought was a Rhys Hoskins home run. Turned out to just be a double after the play was under review. Mets go on to win it 8-7 and are now tied for first in the NL East. All of this as Phillies great Jimmy Rollins, who knows something about that rivalry, makes his debut in the Phillies broadcast booth. Hall of Famer Roberto Alomar banned from MLB after sexual misconduct accusations by an MLB employee stemming from 2014. An independent investigation was launched into the matter, which found Alomar guilty, and he has since been relieved of his duties. Alomar played 5 seasons of his 17-year career with the Blue Jays and won World Series rings with the team in 1992 and 1993. So you ever wonder how your BFF's date is going and you just can't get that text message to update you? Don't worry about it. You could always just text the venue. That's what YouTuber Connor Buckley, aka Buck Army, did when he tweeted to the AZ Diamondbacks to find out and check in on his roommate to see how his second date was going. He was at Chase Field. The Diamondbacks obliged and put them on blast. He put them up on the big screen, and they also gave him some game-used balls as a thank you for coming. And now I am completely invested in this relationship, and I need to know if this goes on to a 3rd date. So I'll keep you guys posted. Marvel Studios announced that they are releasing a brand new Disney Plus superhero series, Moon Knight, starring Guatemalan-American actor and Star Wars universe alum Oscar Isaac. This will be the first time the Marvel production featuring a Latino actor in the lead role. And that is a look at what is trending. It is now my pleasure to welcome to the show Jennifer Mercedes and Ozzie Guillen Jr. Guys, so good to have you here. Great to catch up with you on this Monday. Not a lot of information when it comes to the Roberto Alomar allegations. Does this strike you as a little bit odd given the punishment, Ozzie?
Absolutely. I don't need to know why they're firing him, to be honest. Major League Baseball wants to go away with his position. That's okay with me. But when you start going and removing banners, okay, and putting him on lists where people are banned, I think I need more information. We're finding out that it is an employee early on. They didn't know that if it was an employee of MLB, there was an outside investigation. Now people are asking for him to be removed from the Hall of Fame. If you're going to affect somebody's life this much, you need to give us all the information for us to say, you know what, it is okay for you to do that. And the part is, they act like this way with Roberto, and then there's someone who's still employed who we have seen the text messages, we've seen what they did. So that's why I'm a little bit confused about this whole situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. And I mean, Mickey Callaway is the one who is still employed by the Angels today. But like you said, Ozzie, we still see Roberto Alomar be fired, and that's fine. If the allegations, if they found that these allegations were substantial and whatever happened, they found him to be guilty of what happened, then that's completely fine. But I think that there needs to be transparency, and we all would like to know what were these allegations, what happened, and what led MLB to come to the decision.
Absolutely. Great point. We're going to talk about this a little later on in the show, but I spy with my weekend eye. Jen, what was the best thing you saw this weekend?
So there were a couple of really great things that I saw this weekend, and one of them being Orioles legend, Ubaldo Jimenez, one of the absolutely nicest guys in baseball, graduated from FIT, Florida Institute of Technology. And I'm so happy for him because he really was and is one of the nicest players and people in baseball. So congratulations to him on receiving his degree. And then also, I spent the weekend binge watching the Luis Miguel series on Netflix. Any Latino fan knows who Luis Miguel is, was probably in love with him when they were teenagers, maybe still are, because he's just like a beautiful man and then has an amazing voice. But then he is also damaged, and I mean, you get to see where like this damage comes from as he's grown up and just in the public eye since he was a kid. And it's just really, really eye-opening, and it helps you have some empathy for somebody like him.
All right, Ozzie, best thing you saw all weekend?
You know what? I saw it on Twitter. I'm constantly on there, and it was from the Coughlin family. To me, the importance of games being played, it's more than wins and losses. This individual's father lost his leg during the pandemic, goes into deep depression, and he thought he'd never go back to a Major League Baseball game live. And here we go, a year later, he is at the stadium with his son, and he got to enjoy a White Sox victory. I love this post because, I'm only 36 years old, and, I take for granted that I'll be able to go to a baseball game at any given moment. But this post-pandemic, for a lot of people, they were like, hey, why will I ever be able to do this activity ever again? So it put reality into perspective, and it was really cool to see this gentleman, that was battling depression, to go see his lovable team in person. So it's a big deal that people are getting to come back, other than just teams being able to make money.
Absolutely. Well, if you were also paying attention to not just MLB over the weekend, but also the NFL draft, this story made its rounds on social media. I am absolutely in love with this moment. Before becoming the 21st selection of the 2021 NFL draft by the Colts, defensive end Kwity Paye and his mother Agnes, they had traveled. Get this backstory. They escaped 2 civil wars in West Africa. They traveled to Rhode Island, where Agnes worked 2 jobs to be able to provide for herself and her son, sent him to private school. He eventually ended up getting a scholarship to the University of Michigan. He was a Wolverine. And then he gets drafted to live out his dream. And now she can rest. He announced on an interview with Maria Taylor that she is done working and that he can provide for her and that she can finally retire. I absolutely love the fact that he was able to speak on this and put it out there. And so often we're not aware of the journey and so much struggle and strife that players go through when they come here from other countries.
Yeah, I completely agree, Julie. And one of the amazing things about this story is that this is a story that gets repeated throughout all sports. And specifically, when we talk about baseball, we see a lot of the Latin American players go through the same thing and want to sign because they want to get out of poverty, really. And I mean, there's so many stories, but I mean, some that stick out in my mind is even players when they're able to get that big contract. They include their family members into that contract, so they also get a percentage like right away from that contract. And I think it's a struggle that a lot of us have faced, and the wish and dream that we all have is to be able to retire our parents. I know it's one of mine.
I loved it. I'm not gonna lie, I loved it in the beginning because obviously everyone's wondering if this kid's gonna be good or not. Who cares? His goal has been accomplished, and I actually got to share the moment. Sharing the story with Ozzie's father while we were watching Sunday Night Baseball. They shared the story. He had no idea. He doesn't watch the draft. And when I showed him the YouTube video, he shared that that's every professional athlete's dream when you start off. Usually he says, at least in his story, he didn't start off because he wanted to win an all-star game or a World Series or a batting title. He was just like, this is my best chance at being able to provide my family, especially my mom and my dad, with a better life. And that's what his dream started like. And that was something he never really shared. Obviously, he signs as a professional at 16, 17 years old. I wasn't there, but it was kind of eye-opening that even Ozzie, that, someone doesn't talk a lot about, when he signed, that was his end goal when he started playing baseball was, how do I get my family to, get into a better life? So one of the best stories this year so far in sports.
Absolutely. And best story of the weekend, let's talk weekend walk-off. Ozzie, who won the weekend in your opinion?
You know what? Bryce Harper's weekend got better and better as the week went along. Not only did he hustle over the weekend to play against the rivals, the Mets, but Bryce Harper did something that you have to do in baseball. There was an inside fastball that was thrown at Bryce, obviously a little bit out of control by a pitcher, and it hit Bryce in the face. And Bryce recognized that this young pitcher's career could be affected because, when you don't know where the ball is going, you get scared, basically. And it's a young pitcher. Jimenez kind of making his big league debut early on. And Bryce sent him a text message telling him, don't be scared to throw inside. You still got great talent. It's part of the game. And it really showed that Bryce gets the game and knew that this kid, wasn't trying to hurt him. And he was throwing, 99 plus. He hit Bryce and he hit Didi, and things can get lost in translation. But Bryce was the bigger man and said, hey, I know what you're trying to do. Don't lose confidence. Keep doing what you do. And going at it. And I think that took a bigger player, and it's extremely important in baseball that guys know what guys are going through.
Absolutely. Jen, who won the weekend in your opinion?
For me, Ramón Laureano from the Oakland A's. I mean, not only did he save the game, right, and then he goes and wins it. The Oakland A's are in first place. I know they've had a couple of slumps in recent days, but they're playing really good baseball. But shout out to Ramón Laureano for saving it and then winning it.
Awesome. And speaking of that sort of dual action success, my weekend walk-off to me, who won the weekend? Well, it may have gone down on Thursday, but for me, Angels' Shohei Ohtani becomes the first pitcher since Babe Ruth way back on June 13th, 1921, for all of you who are keeping count, to start a game while leading MLB in homers. At the time, he was tied with 7 home runs. Of course, now league leading is 9. It's Monday, but still an incredible feat. All right, let's move on. When it comes to current players from Latin American countries, we have some rivalries we like to explore. So I've asked Jen and Ozzie to create their all-time all-star current player who's better full-on team from Venezuela or the Dominican Republic. Jen, give me your lineup.
All right, so here's my lineup. So DH is going to be, of course, Nelson Cruz. Then we've got at first base Vladdy Guerrero Jr., second base Gene Segura, third base Manny Machado, shortstop is Fernando Tatis Jr., left field Juan Soto, center field Jaime Tapia, and right field would be Franmil Reyes. And then at catcher, and this is where I had a tough spot because there aren't that many, right? And they're all kind of struggling right now. But my pick would be the veteran of them, for me, Gary Sanchez, who I'm hoping for a much better 2021 season than what it started out to be.
Oh my gosh, just the sheer talent on that list. Ozzie, time to exchange your lineup card. Who do you got?
I'm just going to say this real quick. Obviously, we're the second team in town. If we lived in a town, Dominican baseball players are the bar for all Latin America. And I think that we strive to be as good as them. But it would be a very competitive game. I got Altuve, obviously, at second base. He's actually hitting second. But I got Acuna leading off and being in center field. I got Eugenio Suarez playing third base and being the third hitter. Miguel Cabrera at first. I got Salvador Perez DHing. I got David Peralta in left. I got a player that a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people in Venezuela were wondering why he's on the list. Anthony Santander, who's a stud and a future superstar in right field. And then I got Wilson Contreras behind the plate. And obviously our Achilles, I think that one of the things that we can bring and kind of take him out is obviously Ozzie Guillen as the manager. He'd be the manager. Then I would get Rodriguez, Erod, to be our starting pitcher. Again, I think that in a 1-game series, anything can happen. In a 7-game series, we would have to play really well in order to beat this team because when you look at their bullpens, the TR has a lot of really good arms.
and Ozzie, my manager would be Tony Peña because I think he should be manager.
He should be. And again, I had a joke. I said, we know who would win the fight. Maybe I'll bring Odor to intimidate the Dominican players. Bautista. But again, you know what? It's something that everyone jokes around, but it's something that we take very seriously, especially when we go into the Baseball Classic. Again, we strive to be like the Dominican players. Their bar has been set. You know, we're always chasing them, and we always dream about like in a series where everybody would play, who would take the best of 7. And I think that's something that's like a rivalry going back and forth. Again,
wait. So Ozzie, if it's a rivalry, where does Puerto Rico fall into all of that?
You know what? Puerto Rico falls into Puerto Rico. Unfortunately, was hurt by the World Draft, and they were leading the pack in great baseball players, and Dominican basically took it over. But they're in the mix. Again, I think that
in
now
the midst, where are they though? Where are you putting them?
They were third.
Right? They gave us
they did really well.
Third.
Yeah, but there's a part. So WBC wise, okay, and that's why in Venezuela we've been very disappointed per se, because Puerto Rico, for example, is a team that when you look on paper, player wise, they don't have the talent. Meaning like Venezuela, obviously we have a lot of superstars. Look at the Silver Sluggers. Look at the teams. And we've underperformed.
Look at Jen and I's faces right now.
Look at the Puerto Rico team, though. I'm being serious. Puerto Rico had my guy, Ed Rodriguez in the starting games. You know, he's a kid that was only 2 years in. Again, when you look at it, that's why Venezuela has a lot of talent on paper. Everyone's Silver Sluggers, Gold Gloves, All-Star games, but we haven't performed well in the WBC. So WBC-wise, Puerto Rico has been there. They've won. They've played well. So again, on paper, we look very great, but when we've played in the WBC, we've done a really, really bad job.
Okay, Ozzie. I like your answer, not answer. All right. Well, when it comes to partying, nobody parties like Puerto Rico. No, I'm kidding. All right. I want to know, when it comes to partying, who are some players, maybe a current player and a past player, that you would like to party with? If you had to get it down, Jen, who are you getting down with?
So, I mean, there's so many guys out there, right? And I've been doing this for a while now. So there are guys who I've actually partied with, right? But one of the guys who I have not partied with yet would be Fernando Tatis Jr. And I just think he is so much fun, such a fun guy to hang out with. And I mean, I would love to just travel with the guy, because if you followed him in the off season, his off season travels are amazing. But then guys like a veteran, Mr. Big Papi for sure, David Ortiz. I've had the opportunity to hang out with him on multiple occasions at his golf classic, which has then led me to be able to hang out with a lot of these stars who come out to party with David Ortiz during his golf classic. So Big Papi is one of my favorites for sure. A lot of fun to hang out with. Tatis Jr., one that I would like to.
Jen, does Big Papi smell as good as everybody says he does?
Yes, he does.
How would you describe it? How would you describe the cologne, the scent?
Like a man, but like not too harsh. You know what I mean, Julie, right? Like, like when you smell a guy, you're like, oh, he smells good.
But is it like clean and fresh, or is it like woody and like deep, like oud?
I feel like clean and fresh.
Clean and fresh. Okay. I just want to know what kind of cologne he uses.
Oh, I don't know, but it's like maybe like a little sweet almost too, if I can remember correctly.
Okay.
I mean, and people, like, it's not like I'm up there smelling him. That smells kind of stick with you. So yeah.
It wafts. I just want to know what brand, because it's expensive. Ozzie, who are you partying with?
You know what? As a former club promoter, I've gotten the opportunity to take out a lot of guys and party. I actually have an all-time party team. Probably would beat both three teams that we talked about right now. But you know what? Great choices. Currently, a guy that I would like to party with right now, I think he's got the swag. He's a gorgeous man. I don't like being the best-looking guy in my crew. Doan Moncada, I'm sure that he grabs a lot of attention. He's a fun guy. I know guys that hang out with him. He looks like a really cool guy. It doesn't look like he causes too much trouble, kind of laid back, kind of just have a good time. And it was hard picking my all-time favorite because, again, I got a lot of partying with a lot of guys. Actually, probably it's funny you mentioned David Ortiz. Probably one of the best nights of my promoting, one of our main guests was David Ortiz. And if you can party that well in Chicago, I can only imagine what he does at warmer places. But for me, it would be Freddie Garcia. We've been partying together since I was a very, very young man, definitely not even of age. We've partied, fishing trips, family trips. He's married to my cousin who's like my sister, but he can do it. We partied in the off season. We partied during the season. He's just a really fun guy. And again, I like him because there's guys that get drunk and want to fight or get sentimental. He's just a really fun guy. He's funny. I have a funny story. Once we were in Seattle, and there was a day off, and we started partying like the night before the day off, and we partied so hard that I woke up like at 3 a.m. and I had missed the whole day off. We both had, and I was like but that was so that was in our younger ages, but that was the type of guy that he was. We had a really good time, and it wasn't like we went to like this crazy Las Vegas party. It was like literally us just hanging out and having a really good time, So I liked them. We've had a lot of fun just hanging out.
I'll share a story real quick. I won't name names, but there was one player one time who had a lot of fun, had drank a lot of alcohol because alcohol is free and it was free flowing. And I literally had to help him out of the bushes. He fell over and was just laying there. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe you need someone help. Yeah.
But see, Jen, the beauty about you is that you'll never tell.
Oh, hell no.
No, all right.
Never.
Well, for me, the guy I would party with, it would have to be Albert Pujols. We're both old. We both like good, clean fun. I feel like there would be no trouble. I feel like it would be a very nice and easy event, and I would be in bed by 10 p.m. because it's Albert Pujols. Like I said, we have little kids. We're tired. But then the other guy I would party with is Big Papi. Why? Because it would be the exact opposite of partying with Albert Pujols. Okay. And now I want to know, let's talk about the best follow on social media. Who are you guys following that you absolutely love? Ozzie, who's got your attention? Who's got your clicks? Who's got your likes?
Talking about partying and like guys being really close to, his name is Freddie Fates. He's actually become like the official barber now of the Chicago White Sox. He was literally Moncada's personal barber. But one of the cool things, here we got Pantera, but one of the cool things that Freddie did, and he's an awesome follow. He's been a barber, like a top barber in Chicago for a long time. He's actually from Indiana. Is he made a truck. He's got a Mercedes-Benz, like those minivan trucks, and he converted it into the barbershop. So you can see it right here. So Moncada, he can cut Moncada now at all times, and the players, one of the hardest things people don't realize is getting your hair cut because of timing and where you're at. That's why barber is the world. And again, you guys see Moncada, he's always freshly cut. So Freddie's actually a really good follow because you get all the White Sox guys that are coming through town. And obviously he's cutting from this awesome little truck.
So cool. Sprinter van turned salon. Jen, who are you following?
Yeah, so one of my favorite baseball follows is David Peralta, and it's just because he has so much fun. And right now what he's been doing with the guys dancing post-game, I just think it's a whole lot of fun. And the D-backs themselves are just doing a lot, like they're having a really good time on social media. But David Peralta, yeah, he's a fun guy. He loves the family, but he also just doesn't take himself too seriously, and just enjoying life, YOLO, and getting all of these guys to dance this song that became famous in the DR. The DR teams were doing it during the Winter League, and now they're doing it. I think it's just a blast. And so if you want to have fun and just want to smile, follow David Peralta.
But wait, he got his manager to do it. He got Lavula just won his 300th game, and he was in the middle of the dancing, and now it's taken to a next level. We're like, whoa, is that the manager? Like, who will David pull in to the dance? Is it going to be the general manager? But no, great follow-up. Absolutely. Good choice.
Awesome. We've got haircuts. We've got dancing clubhouse. And hey, I got a chef for you if you guys like food. Manolo Lopez, also known as Manolo JPEG. He is a chef. He is a content creator. He is a graphic designer, hence his handle, JPEG. And he's responsible for bringing Mofongo. This is a mobile, kind of like your hairdresser, Ozzie. He basically turned a food truck into a mobile Mofongo cart. And he brought it to Brooklyn, being the only mobile Mofongo offering there in Brooklyn on the waterfront. And he's just an incredible guy. I had a chance to interview him for our Hispanic Heritage Month content that we put out last season. And he is just absolutely incredible what he does, giving back to the island of Puerto Rico and also bringing incredible food. So if you're into Spanish food, if you're into parties and dancing, he throws the most amazing events. Plus, he brought Mofongo back to New York in a mobile situation. So you got to love that. All right. Now on to Ozzie. What's on your mind, Ozzie? Do tell.
Well, my rant is one that I keep battling back and forth, okay? And it's the one where guys get to show off and hit home runs and take selfies, dance, do cartwheels, do everything. And in a month when Trevor Bauer said that he was okay with it, okay, in the last week we've seen two pitchers, one who's already been suspended in Mr. Alvarado from the Phillies, okay? Amir Garrett also gets into a little discussion. Pitchers get passionate, okay? They usually scream really loud after a strikeout, and the benches have chirped back, and there's been exchanges. There hasn't been any punches thrown, but there's been exchanges. And the way that Major League Baseball has come out and addressed this is suspending the pitcher. So my question is in the rant is, are we only allowing then to hitters to celebrate their moments, and we're not going to allow pitchers? And it's going back to this. I think hitters are extremely soft, okay? They love showing off when they hit them deep, okay? But when anybody strikes you out, because it's usually a big moment, and a pitcher has a moment on the mound, somebody on the bench or somebody on the on-deck circle, the hitter, has an issue, words are exchanged, and then that's when we have adult words being shared back and forth, and that's when we have the bench clearing ball. So my question is, are we really going to let everybody have fun, and are we going to let pitchers celebrate, or are we going to, not let them celebrate if the other team deems it inappropriate?
All right. So, Ozzie, I see your point, but I think that there was a difference in the way that the pitchers were quote unquote celebrating, because they were antagonizing the batter. When the batter is, celebrating and pimping his home run, I've never seen a hitter like yell at the pitcher and call him an MFer. That's different. When you calling somebody an MFer, and that's what Anthony Rizzo was called, who's probably one of the nicest guys in baseball, right? And so Javi took exception to that because of who it was too being directed, right? And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Amir Garrett and I love a good punch, and he could throw a good punch. So I mean, I could deal with that, but if he took it that way, like he's antagonizing the hitter and I mean literally offending him by calling him an MFer, that's a problem. And then with the Phillies, it was also the same thing. It was like come on, like you want to fight type of thing. Like if it's not directed towards the hitter, I'm cool with you yelling and screaming and doing whatever you want. But when it's directed specifically to the person, then I can understand why they want to retaliate. And if like there's a fight started, you started it,
No, I completely agree. My whole thing is I look at the history. Amir Garrett said what he had to say because of the way Rizzo hit a ball in the beginning of the season. Baez hit a ball. My whole point is this. In a game where everybody is pretending that they're okay with getting shown up, okay, because they want to do a selfie, and in a game where everybody wants to have fun, quote unquote, lines are being crossed that they were put on there not because they didn't want to have fun. It's because it's a very imaginary line that you don't want to show up another opponent, okay? And don't get me wrong, I love Amir Garrett, which is, again, it was a really hard one for me to do. And the guy that he did it to is usually a guy that, the years that he has in the big leagues doesn't deserve that. But I understand why Amir was doing it, okay? And when he told Baez, said, hey, you guys want to do something about it? I'm right here. So the part is that, again, relievers and guys that are on that moment, I feel like when you're having fun, how far does it take it, okay? And we saw the Tatis one and Bauer, it was all a friendly one, but that could have gone south really bad. Tatis went to the bench, did the one eye, he did and the funny part is Bauer never did it to Tatis. He never had done the walk on him. So it's things that you're keeping receipts and saying, okay, I'm going to get someone. And it makes the rivalry that much intense. But it's like, when do we go too far? I know somebody has a selfie with the Osuna one. I'll be honest with you. Like, if he hits it and he selfies me as a pitcher, I have an issue with it. Unless he does it every single time. And that's where people don't understand. And that's the part where Major League Baseball needs to say, okay, what's fun and what's not fun? I'll give you an example. Two of my favorite things that any hitter does. Edwin Encarnacion, the bird, okay, because he's always done it. He has his arm up. I used to love Sammy Sosa's running to third base. He would do like the Sammy shuffle. And there's guys that have made their home run trots part of their game. But now we're seeing guys that whatever they feel like doing that day, they're just incorporated. And that's why I feel like now pitchers are going to start having a harder time as games get more intense. Trust me, I don't think this is the end of like people getting suspended for throwing at somebody or over celebration.
Well, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, all in all, when you step back and take a look at this from a macro perspective, it's all good for baseball, right? Because then we're talking about it. And at the end of the day, that's what we want as viewers. And we want to keep this game fun and we want to keep it alive. Jen, Ozzie, always a pleasure. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And we will see you next time.